So I feel like you might be a little bit surprised that I didn't do a video on that thing that has happened in the wrestling world pertaining to SmackDown. And I can tell you why I didn't do that, because I did a video on that when Dwayne first came back. So that'll be above my face somewhere. You can check that out. The only thing I've got to add to that is the way they did it was abysmal. Utterly abysmal. So with that out of the way, you can have my thoughts on that. Please subscribe. Let's talk about something very, very interesting. NXT Vengeance Day. Hello and welcome to FTTR, I am Hugh McQuaid, and today we are talking about NXT Vengeance Day, the annual Valentine's Day tradition if you are an NXT fan, where NXT take the stage with a big start, a big premium live event with some huge matches here. We had the finals of the Men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, we had Trick Williams versus Ilja Dragunov in the main event, we had a big no DQ match. There was a lot of stuff on this show and a lot of stuff to dive into on this show. But before we do that, please subscribe, please like the video, please comment your thoughts down below on NXT Vengeance Day and let me know your thoughts, and I'll try and apply to every single one of them. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about Vengeance Day. So NXT, I think, is an interesting brand. It's an interesting brand. If you're new to the channel, I was a massive NXT fan back when the Undisputed Era were running amok, and Johnny Gargano and Ciampa, probably my favourite story in wrestling is Gargano and Ciampa. That was my peak NXT fandom. NXT 2.0 happened. Hated it. And now we're in this new era of NXT where it's sort of a mix of black and gold, NXT UK and 2.0. It's a very, very strange concoction of professional wrestling, but it does present us with the option of everything. You have everything available to you. If you like a particular style of wrestling, it will probably be on an NXT Premium Live event. And that's what I feel like this show was. This was a complete match explosion thing of professional wrestling. You had everything. No DQ, long-term stories, overbooking, random matches, everything. Utterly everything was on this show. And I really, really enjoyed it. 2.5 hours, peak length for a wrestling pay-per-view. I loved when the NXT takeovers used to be this length. They were perfect, and this also was perfect. I don't think it was the best paced show that I've ever seen, but on the whole, I really, really enjoyed it. So shall we dive straight into the review now, where I give you the matches, I tell you everything that happened on this show, my thoughts, my feelings, the way a review works, starting with the opening match, which was a tag team match for the NXT Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, the finals, if you will, of this prestigious tournament, as Bron Breakker and Baron Corbin took on Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. This was awesome. It wasn't like the best match I've ever seen in the finals of the Men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, but this did everything and more to sort of set things up. So I really love Bron Breakker and Baron Corbin working together. They're such a good team, and they were playing the dominant badasses in this. They would isolate Carmelo Hayes, they would work over Carmelo Hayes, and Carmelo Hayes was always the one sort of getting the hot tag. Trick Williams came in with an amazing hot tag in this, but they were playing that role, and Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams were furthering the story of their dissension, what's going to happen here. I really liked the use of camera angles and the way this was shot, because they framed stuff really well. They always managed to frame it so that Trick Williams was at the forefront and Carmelo Hayes was standing behind him. It really looked good, and they really played that up in the main event as well. As I check my notes, Baron Corbin got hip tossed over the top by Bron Breakker. There's a tope. That's awesome. That's cool. Huge back suplex into a cutter from Bron Breakker, which also looked amazing. And then, yeah, like I said, big hot tag from Trick Williams, and it's not the smoothest match I've ever seen, but it was really fun. Then the finish. The finish was miscommunication, if you want to call it that. Essentially, Carmelo Hayes took the spear from Bron Breakker, pushed Trick Williams out the way, and took that spear for the 1-2-3, and Bron Breakker and Baron Corbin have won. They get a shot at the NXT tag titles. okay, that's pretty sick. I know there's a lot of talk of Bron Breakker main roster bound, but it seems like he's going to stay in NXT for a little bit. Maybe sort of continue this partnership with Corbin. It seems to have worked really well for him. And we'll see where that goes. But the story of Trick and Carmella is what we're looking for here. And this plays up later. Plays in later in the show, but we will get to... I'll talk about this a little bit now because it plays up in the main event. There was a spot in this match where Trick Williams, I can't remember what he hit. I think it was a kip up. I think he kipped up. And it looked like he twinged his knee. And I was very, very worried because I was like, oh my God, he's got 2 matches tonight. He's hurt himself. Really cool plant that was. A really cool plant that we will get back to when we talk about the main event. But yeah, really loved the storytelling of these 2 matches bookending the show. Then we got the second best match of the night, which was Joe Gacy versus Dijak in a no DQ match. Dijak just needs to be called up at this point. Please. He's so good. And I really like Joe Gacy. I loved this match. I thought it was so fun. Really good no DQ match. I loved the match that Dijak had with Ilja last year, the last man standing match. And this match was insane. There were some really insane spots here. The one that everyone will probably be talking about is, well, there's 2. There's Dijak getting pushed from a springboard from the outside, sending himself flying to the entrance ramp through a table that had a load of like Hot Wheels cars and toys on it, which looked really, really nasty. And then Dijak putting a steel trash can on the head of Joe Gacy, kicking it, but Joe Gacy keeps sitting back up with the trash can on his head until eventually he stands up and hits almost a torpedo Moscow on Dijak with the trash can right into the head of Dijak. It looked insane. I really liked it was brutal, this match. Some of the spots were like, oh, okay, they're doing this. Like, Joe Gacy taped the eyes of Dijak. He taped them fully up and started wailing on Dijak with a kendo stick, with 2 kendo sticks, which led into a feast your eyes from Dijak with his eyes taped shut, ripped off the tape, and when he pulls the tape back off, Joe Gacy is in the corner, upside down, laughing. It's cool. I really like that the story of this match was that Joe Gacy, he wouldn't quit. He wouldn't stop smiling. He wouldn't stop laughing because he enjoys this so much. I thought that was so fun. And yeah, it eventually came to a head when Joe Gacy goes for the handspring and Dijak hits him with his nightstick, I think they call them, like the truncheons, I think we call them here. Hits him with the nightstick. I don't know if it's called that was previously introduced at the beginning of the match. They both stared down with these at the beginning of the match. Clocks him when he goes for the handspring and hits the feast your eyes for the 1, 2, 3 as Gacy's still smiling. I love this. I thought this was so fun. And yeah, one of the better no DQ matches that I've seen this year. I really want Dijak on the main roster though. Please, he's just that good. Give us Dijak versus Gunther. Please. Then we got a few sort of promo segments here. We got a Chase U promo, and we got the D'Angelo family versus OTM. Now, this is going to be the quickest segment you've ever goddamn heard, because I have nothing at all to say about this, other than the fact that I really don't vibe with the D'Angelo family, and I'm really worried for the D'Angelo family and Tony D'Angelo, because I feel like they're not going to translate well to the main roster. If they get called up, I feel like that gimmick is just not going to succeed, unfortunately. And OTM, I have barely anything to say about OTM. This was like a fun 6-man tag, but there's nothing. There's no sort of substance here that really gets me hyped for anything other than Tony D'Angelo picked up the win with a weak finisher. I feel like that's not his finisher. If that is his finisher, it's very, very weak. I have seen a Tony D'Angelo match, but it's always been a tag team finisher that he's won with. This sort of fisherman suplex thing, not for me. And I'm just not a fan of this feud. The video package didn't get me hyped for it either. I wasn't buzzed about this. So yeah, quickest review ever. You could probably skip this match if you're watching NXT Vengeance Day today. You're welcome. Then we got a Kiana and Izzy promo and a Hayes and Trick Williams promo. The Hayes and Trick Williams promo was really, really good, where Trick Williams wants Carmelo Hayes at ringside, and when he said that, we all know what was going down. Some suspicious shall we say. And then we got the overbooked match of the evening, which I did really, really enjoy, as Lyra Valkeria defended her NXT Women's Championship against Roxanne Perez. These two started off with a really, really hot wrestling match. It was just straight up wrestling, chain wrestling, all the good stuff that we like to see. And yeah, I got a bit confused because they're doing this chain wrestling, and then Roxanne Perez just hits her finisher, the pot rocks, from out of nowhere, absolutely out of nowhere. And I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. It's been going for felt like about 5, maybe 7 minutes or so. Really cool. She's hit the finish. Okay, he's rolling over. Maybe she's going to get the pin. We're going to have a very interesting stuff. And then Lola Vice's music hits. She runs down with her NXT Breakout Tournament contract and makes this match a triple threat. So, okay, Tatum Paxley comes down as well. She starts getting involved, gets clocked by Lola Vice, I think. And then, yeah, we have a three-way. Okay, cool. Lola Vice looked really impressive in this. She was doing sort of like the speedball Mike Bailey kicks, which were really fun, hitting big moves in the corner to Roxanne Perez and to Lyra. Some good near falls as well. The near fall from Lyra when she splashed right on top of Lola Vice was really good. And the finish was also really well done. I was a big fan of the finish when a out of nowhere pot rocks from Roxanne Perez nearly gets the 1-2-3, but Tatum Paxley runs in and clocks Roxanne out of the ring. Lyra Valkeria hits the Nightwish for the win. I like the story that they're telling with Roxanne Perez, where she's been so close to regaining that championship, particularly in this match. She pretty much had it won before Lola Vice joined, and then she lost again after nearly having it won. I think that's a really, really interesting story, and spoilers for later on in the show, there's a big brawl backstage between Roxanne Perez and Lola Vice, which I thought was entertaining. That seems to be the feud that we're setting up, and yeah, pretty excited about this. I'm interested to see where Lyra goes as well from here, because she sort of felt like the odd one out in this match, if anything. Like, it felt, especially when Lola Vice came down, it was like, okay, this is the feud we're building now. That was a little bit strange that she felt like a third wheel in her own story, I guess, but she's got her own thing going on with Paxley. So yeah, this was a really fun match, if not very overbooked. Then we got the match for the NXT North American Championship as Dragon Lee took on the champion Obafemi. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. That is how Wade Barrett was pronouncing it on commentary. And yeah, let's talk about Obafemi, because I've not spoken about Obafemi in the slightest. What a guy. What a unit of a man. He is so physically imposing and terrifying. They have really got something with this guy. I really think he's like world champion material, like just from the pure look. I haven't even heard him cut a promo or anything. The way he moves and the way he swaggers, I think he has got everything. He put on a pretty entertaining match here with Dragon Lee. Obviously, Dragon Lee, very high flying in that regard. And it was good to see, just Dragon Lee getting swatted like a fly, like a bug. That was really fun. There was a bit of miscommunication. A really nasty looking stomp to Fema's head from Dragon Lee at the beginning of this. I was like, oh, I hope you're okay. And eventually we got sort of just big power moves from Fema. Like, Dragon Lee ran across the apron and just got chopped in the chest by Fema. Fema rolled him into the ring and hit a power bomb. Hit like a spine buster first, then a power bomb for the 1-2-3. It was a pretty decisive win. It wasn't necessarily a squash, but it really put over Fema huge. And I've got to think, if Dijak's not main roster bound, the next feud for this title is Dijak versus Fema. That has tastiness written all over it. And yeah, this was a fun match. It wasn't like the blowaway match that I thought it would be, but it was awesome. It was a really, really fun, entertaining match. Then we got the brawl between Lola Vice and Roxanne Perez that I've previously spoken about. And then we had the main event as my boy Ilja Dragunov, the champion, the NXT champion, took on Trick Williams in what is, dare I say, my match of the year. I think this is probably my match of the year. I loved the story that they told in this match. I just love the way Ilja Dragunov works and the way he moves, the way he sells. Absolutely everything Ilja does is magic. And he was in there with Trick Williams, who had previously performed in the night. And they told a fantastic, fantastic story here with some great spots. It starts off as just a wrestling match, and then it escalates into big move, kick out, and all that good stuff. But this had the interesting wrinkle of Carmelo Hayes being at ringside, which played key into this match. First of all, both guys were popped open. Trick Williams had popped his lip, and Ilja Dragunov, I think his nose, it's something with his nose. I think he got big booted by Trick Williams, and that caught his nose, and he was pouring blood out of his nose. So they both looked ruined by the end of this match. But they kept going. They were kicking out of finishers, kicking out of signatures, and that is what I love sometimes. I love that kind of stuff. And the big crux of this, I guess, came when they were brawling on the outside, and Carmelo Hayes steps in front of Ilja Dragunov as he tries to go for Trick Williams. Trick Williams has his face on the steel steps. Carmelo Hayes swings for Dragunov. Dragunov moves, pushes him, and inadvertently pushes Carmelo Hayes into a chop block on Trick Williams, injuring that knee that he previously twinged in the match before. And when that sort of clicked with me, I was like, that's incredible. Like, I am a stupid man. That is just incredible storytelling, that they brought it back to the leg that he injured, that now Carmelo Hayes is injured even more. Then they got into the ring and they had this amazing final sequence where Dragunov hits the H-bomb numerous times for kickouts. Williams hits the knee for a kick out. The kick out from the knee that Dragunov did. No, it was the big boot kick out that Dragunov did was in goddamn sane. How close to 3 he kicked out of that. And then, as it looks like Trick Williams has got the win, he's going for the running knee. His knee gives out, the leg gives out, and he crumples, and that gives Dragunov the opportunity to reverse that and hit H-bomb. Love that. Then he goes into the corner, torpedo Moscow. Trick Williams is on the other side. He's going to go for his flying knee. They both run at each other. Torpedo Moscow just connects above the knee. Dragunov pins Williams for the 1-2-3. The crowd are a little bit dejected because they really wanted to see Trick Williams win. I can't believe how over Trick Williams is. It's insane. 1-2-3. Dragunov wins. I'm a happy boy because Dragunov is probably like my top 3 favourite wrestlers of all time. So I'm happy to see his reign continue. And I love the story that they're telling with Williams and Hayes, which gets escalated even more as we go into the post-match. It's NXT. You know what's happening. You've just had a banger of a match. The copyright logo appears in the corner of the screen as Trick Williams walks forward. Carmelo Hayes hits a chop block to the injured leg and destroys that leg. He destroys that leg with chair shot after chair shot after chair shot until the chair is bent and destroyed. The heel turn has finally happened. Carmelo Hayes has turned on Trick Williams. This has sort of been the Gargano Ciampa since the NXT 2.0 era. This sort of the friendship between these two, we knew it was going to implode. They've been teasing it so well. The camera angles again were fantastic in this. And yeah, the heel turn has happened. That is the closing image of the show. It's Carmelo Hayes destroying Trick Williams. And that closed off the show. It closed off a really succinct 2.5 hour show that I was a big fan of. I would give it a solid 4 out of 5. I really loved it. And the Ilja Dragunov Trick Williams match, go out of your way to see. This strikes me as one of those things where they will put up like maybe a 3-hour video of the Trick Williams Carmelo Hayes stuff so you can fully enjoy it. But this match was insane. I loved it, and I loved the story they told from throughout the show. Really, throughout the show. Yeah, big fan. 4 out of 5. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll try and reply to every single one of them. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.